Last Rodeo is a new movie put out by Angel Studios. If you're not familiar with Angel Studios, they're a somewhat newer company that has only been around for the last few years, but their goal is to kind of be the opposite of what you would see from a typical Hollywood movie. Their focus is more family-oriented stuff, more wholesome content. They are a Christian-based company, so adding in a little bit of religion and things like that into their movies is definitely their sole focus. This is my first time viewing a movie from Angel Studios, and after watching The Last Rodeo, I have to say I am not really looking forward to watching many more of their movies. The main storyline here is you have Neil McDonough, who's a good actor. It seems like he's been popping up in a lot of these Angel Studios movies for the last couple years. He is a retired bull rider, and he basically had to retire because he had so many injuries. It kept him from, continuing on. But he's a legend in the game, and he has to basically go back to it when he finds out that his grandson has a brain tumor and the insurance isn't going to pay for all of it. His daughter's, doing what she can. He volunteers to put up the rest of the money for the surgery needed. However, it's going to be a very large amount. So the only way he sees that he can get the money is by returning to what he once knew and what he was once good at, which was bull riding. So he calls up his old friend, played by Michael T. Williamson, and he gets him to help him train and get ready for this competition where the grand prize is $750,000, which would be more than enough to pay for the surgery for his grandson and hopefully, take care of that tumor and save his life and everything. So it's a pretty straightforward story. I mean, there's not a whole lot extra to this overall. The only downside with that is it's a very predictable story. Basically, right from the beginning, you can see where this movie's going to go. It telegraphs everything instantly, and it's just like, there's no surprises. There's nothing here. There doesn't really feel like there's any stakes in this movie. Yes, this child has a brain tumor, but at no point in the movie did I really ever think he was gonna not make it, or when Neil McDonough's character has to go back into bull riding, not once did I ever think, oh, he might get a more serious injury, or maybe he gets paralyzed or something like that. It just never really pulls you in that way. And that's one of many problems that this movie has. And I just, I'm not someone to point out so many inconsistencies in a movie, but the amount of things in this movie that I found to be really not good was pretty astounding. The script is one of the worst scripts I've ever seen for a movie. The dialogue here is so stilted. The people in the movie, the way they talk to each other, does not feel natural in any way, shape, or form. Everyone is being directed in a way where they feel like they've never acted in their entire lives. This movie has legitimate actors in it. You got Neil McDonough, Michael T. Williamson, you got Christopher McDonald, Sarah Jones. Like these are people who have been in things and have given good performances, but throughout this entire movie, it almost feels like none of them have ever acted. There's moments in the movie where it feels like characters are reading off cue cards, or they're holding a script in their hand while they're reading off lines. It just does not feel natural in any way, shape, or form. And this is a very basic movie. So for a movie like this to just not in any way, shape, or form feel like real life, it's kind of crazy to me. There's also weird stuff going on with like green screen, which I did not expect for a movie like this. There's ADR issues where you can clearly tell that characters are saying one thing by their lips, but they're being dubbed over and they are clearly saying something else by what they're, what's coming out of their mouth and everything. And I just couldn't believe, some of the stuff I was seeing in this movie, because stuff like that, technical issues can happen and whatnot, but for a movie to not really have a lot of special effects or anything like that, for it to not really be like a big action or sci-fi oriented movie, I couldn't believe what problems this actually had. Like, how do you take legitimate actors like the people in this movie and resort them down to where it feels like they don't know what they're doing? Like, Neil McDonough has given good performances before. Here, he just it feels like he doesn't know what he's doing in this movie. Michael T. Williamson, he's Bubba Gump from Forrest Gump and so many other roles. He might give one of his absolute worst performances in this movie. And he was in The Final Destination, the worst Final Destination movie in that whole franchise. So that's saying a lot. And I just don't understand. I mean, there's glimpses here and there of, you know, some of their typical acting traits or some of their personality that kind of seeps into the movie. There's a few okay moments with some of the bull riding scenes where, you know, it does add a little bit to the movie overall. But this is just a slog, man. This thing is almost 2 hours. It feels like it takes forever to get anywhere that it wants to go. And by the end of it, I really just did not care. This movie just really did not work in really any way for me. You know, going in, I wanted to like it. I thought the trailer actually looked pretty decent. And not having seen any other movies from this studio, I figured, hey, you know, what's the worst that could happen? But this movie's really bad. And I don't know if any of the other movies from the studio are the same way. Like, I don't know if it's a studio problem or if this is just a one-off thing where the director and, you know, the writers kind of just got it wrong and they just didn't really know how to hone everything in and make it tighter and make it work better. So for me personally, I would grade this movie a D+. This is just bad all around. Like I said, there's little glimpses here and there of some decent acting from some of these people. And, you know, there's a few instances of some decent shots and things like that. But overall, there's just so much here that is really not good. And it's hard to overlook because it is right in your face. And once you see a lot of these inconsistencies, it's hard to miss them. That's about it for me, guys. If you had a chance to see The Last Rodeo, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more reviews, all kinds of good stuff. I'll leave all my links down below and where you can follow me and check out more of my reviews. And until next time, I will catch you all